emotional wasteland, a stifling atmosphere where strict rules and outward appearances trumped affectionate relationships. They distrusted me, thought me radical, read my private diary, tried to break my will. I found respite with a much older neighbor. She was an avid reader, a brilliant thinker, an attentive listener, an educated intellectual. She understood and acknowledged me, introduced me to a sophisticated world of obscure music and books. She fostered my love of animals with her menagerie of dogs and cats, gave me hope for a different kind of future. I was a cuckoo in the nest, and it was time to fledge. In Ireland, I decided to change my life, to leave the city behind, to slow down, bake bread, make jam, knit socks, read books, have animals, to risk an uncertain path. On the wettest of the wet Irish days, I stayed in the cottage, boiled the kettle over the fire for tea, knitted with local wool, read poetry and local history, formed rough loaves to proof on the hearth. I experienced the peace that Yeats says comes dropping slow, dropping from the veils of the morning. When the rain was sporadic or misty, what the Irish call a soft day, I ventured to the water's edge, watched the tides as they gathered and dispersed. At low tide, I collected mussels, brought them back to steam open over the turf for a succulent supper, garnished with tiny pearls. I baked Irish shortcakes on the griddle, flour mixed with lard, dotted with currants, rolled and cut into rounds, flipped over the peat and laced with its scent. And there were potatoes. Tender, exotic, rich with flavor and texture, they bore no resemblance to the lumpen fodder from my youth. These were growing tubers, freshly harvested from rich earth, their skins red and gold and thin as gauze. I learned how they grow, ventured out into the rain to follow the thin roots underground to the prize, and left the plant to make more. I weeded a garden flourishing with vegetables, with rhubarb and gooseberries for my jam. To pick the berries, I approached from the top of the dry stone garden wall, lost my footing, and fell right into the bushes. I learned that gooseberries have thorns. I was enchanted with this wondrous place of solitude, this place of solace after my tempestuous childhood, my dissenting adolescence. A place I could live for a time mainly off the land, the produce in the garden and the orchards that others had planted and tended, the wild food of the tide. That summer, I learned I could live in quiet and isolation, my only neighbors the sheep on the hills, their lambs at foot. I learned to love a garden and to harvest and transform its produce into succulent, simple dishes. And now, in Midwestern Ontario, where I have been raising sheep and lambs and growing a garden of my own for half a century, I realize the importance of that Irish summer in directing me back to the land, showing me a way to live. As I look out my kitchen window, if the clouds are just so, I catch a spark of those early days yearning for change, and I remember what brought me to this pastoral way of life. My years on this farm have been rooted in the agricultural calendar, in a shepherd's calendar, governed by the whims of nature, by the seasonal cycle of sheep fertility, by the arrival and departure of frosts, the whelping and weaning of coyotes who threaten my flock. Each and every month signifies an age-old phase in the farming calendar. And over my years here, though the implements and methods have changed, the constant flow of breeding and birthing, sowing and haying, harvesting and reaping follows the sun in a yearly orbit, ending only to begin yet another round. And for as long as I can, I will move with it, month by month, season through season, shepherding my flock. January. The loft is cold as the year turns over.